all agents, signature abilities now only provide a minimum of 1 charge per round instead of accumulating a charge every round. For example, if you have a 2-charge signature ability and you end the round with 1 charge, you will not gain an additional charge. This is a nerf to like Omen, because now you have to buy his flashes. This is a nerf to basically any agent that has 2 charges of his signature, you only get 1 and you have to buy the second. I think that's probably pretty good. Charges gained from cooldowns are now always temporary. Reyna as well, because you can't get double suck anymore. You only get 1. I'm guessing you'll have to buy the second one. Visibility returns faster during the fade out period of all flashes. So this right here essentially means, I think it's going to be possible to dodge flashes again. So if you get half flashed, you should be half flashed for shorter, which means if you're good at dodging flashes, if you have high sensitivity, this will make it so that if you try to turn around from a flash and it flashes you for half or shorter, it'll last shorter. So this is good. This is kind of like a nerf to flashes, because they buffed flashes so that even if you get half flashed, it still like full blinds you. Now that will be even shorter. So I think that's good. Moving on, Astra. So her Q, which is her stun, the cooldown got increased. Instead of 12 seconds, it's now 25. So you can only stun, and her suck also. So her suck and stun are both doubled the cooldown, which means you're not able to do it the max you can do her suck and stun are every 25 seconds. So that's a big nerf to Astra. Big, massive nerf. And here's more of a nerf. Stars are now inactive when placed during the buy phase. When the barrier drops, her stars charge for 1.4 seconds before coming active and usable. On attack, Astra can now see the spike's location in astral form. The representation does not animate, so will not provide additional info on the status of the spike. So this means you can't see if they're planning or diffusing or where it is. Recall cooldown increased from 8 to 15 seconds. This means if you put a star down, you suck it back to try to get that star back. It used to be 8 seconds before you can use it. Like there was like, that it like charged up. Now that time is 15 seconds. This is another big nerf to Astra. Signatures charges decrease from 2 to 1. This also means by default, you only get 1 star every round. You don't start with 2 ever unless you have to buy it. That's what they said. You only get one charge of her star. So because of that, they decrease the price. So instead of it being 200 a star, now it's 150. So this is a big nerf to Astra. I feel like the main reason why Astra was used in the meta by a lot of the teams is because obviously the post-plant possibilities, like being able to suck off the bomb, but more importantly, it was the early round stuff. Being able to pre-suck barriers and pre-suck like choke points. So now that she can't really do that, like a lot of the choke points, she's going to get through it. So her early round usefulness went way down. And I feel like that might push Astra to not even be used anymore. I feel like her ult was already used so terribly. Most people never used her ult. Like the only time people ever used her ult was like post plant, it seems like, or like retake. So I feel like now this might actually be enough of a nerf for Astra to be out of the meta. Breach, Flashpoint. Breach went from having 3 flashes to now having 2 flashes. And the cost was increased from 200 to 250, which this you'll see through while we read this entire when you read this entire patch notes. Pretty much every flash agent, every flash in the game was increased from 200 to 250. So this is just in line with all of the other ones. The 3 to 2 flashes is kind of it's pretty big. Nosy's in my chat. He's mauling right now, crying himself to sleep. Only 2 flashes, lol W. And then the projectile speed decreased, which means I feel like this breach flashes were already super easy to dodge. Now it's even easier. But if you remember up here, they said visibility returns faster during the fade out period of all flashes. So this means not only are the breach flashes easier to dodge now, but the half flash lasts shorter. So breach got a bit of a nerf on his flash. Moving on, his E, which is his big line stun, if you are not aware of breach. The full charge time decreased from 1.5 to 1 second. So this is easier to kind of get hoppers off the line. We tested this on Friday when we had access to the patch. It charged up really fast. I kind of like that. I think it's good. So this is a buff to his E with increase from 600 to 750. So again, this is another buff to his fault line. Easier to hit people, easier to charge it up faster. You can get the full line, the max line way quicker. So early round breach stun is probably going to be pretty good. Telegraph wind up time decreased. So again, this is another good thing. It's the time is getting decreased, so it's faster. Concussion duration increased from 3 to 3.5, so they're really buffing his E. His E is getting really a lot better now. Instead of being stunned for 3 seconds, now you're stunned for 3.5 seconds. The unequipped time after firing was decreased from 1 to 0.7. So this just means after you stun, Breach pulls his gun out faster. So he like Riot was saying, they're making Breach more self-sufficient and being able to support himself rather than always having to be like a support bot. Also, the cooldown was actually increased from 35 to 40, which to me means that was like a slight nerf, but I think overall his E was buffed. Flash definitely nerfed a lot. E definitely buffed. Now his aftershock, which is C, now explodes 3 times with each blast dealing 60 damage with no fall off. Blasts are 0.6 seconds apart. So I feel like this is probably a buff in the long run because it's basically makes it so that you used to be able to just dodge his C early on, like earlier, and then just get right back in the corner. At least this time, like if you try to tank it, it's guaranteed to do 120, right? If you dodge, the only way that I can see this being bad is if you dodge the first explosion and you get back in it, you'll only take 120 damage. And I feel like that's kind of an outplay because now breaches will never expect that to be clear, right? Like you're going to have to clear it. At least before, like you knew if that thing went off, they cannot be in the corner. Now it's like, can you really guarantee it? I don't know. Anyway, the radius increased from 260 to 300. So now they made the radius higher, and also there's no fall off distance. So if you get hit by that C in any point of that explosion, it's guaranteed to do 60, no matter what, unless you have double damage. Like if you get like Killjoy mollied or you get double damaged by Astra suck, then it'll be 120. Unequipped time after firing decreased from 1.1 to 9 seconds, which to me, again, this means just like his E, now when you use his C, his aftershock, or his E, his fault line, you are pulling out your weapon, like you're unequipping the ability faster and pulling your weapon out faster. So again, I think that's a buff. Like I said, there's a lot of times where like a lot of breach mains are just in their utility the entire round, right? And so now you pull out your gun faster. And then the cost was increase of his C from 100 to 200. So his utility is going to be expensive, right? 2 flashes is 500, and his C is 200, which is 700. So to get full utility every round is 700 for breach. His ultimate, Rolling Thunder, his X, the width of all explosions increased 2300, which was the previous width of the final explosion. So this is just basically, if you were here on Friday when we were testing it, basically this is just saying breach's ult is now a big rectangle or a big square instead of a like the cone, like the triangle shape. So now it's like it's harder to dodge now because if you're anywhere in that radius, you can't run to the side like you could before because you had like if you were close to breach and he was ulting, you can get to the side and dodge it. Now it's like that rectangle is pretty massive. So I think this is overall another buff to breach. I think overall breach was buffed, just his flashes were nerfed. And moving on to Jet, her updraft went from 100 to 150. So that's a straight nerf to Jet. Her dash, her E, no longer breaks Cypher's tripwire. Her smokes went from 100 to 200, and her ult went from 6 to 7 points. Now, this is a big nerf. She gets 2 updrafts around, so that would be $300. She can buy, I'm assuming she can still buy 3 smokes around, so that's $600. So right there, you're looking at $900 to get full utility. And then this one right here, I feel like one of the reasons why Cypher wasn't played very often is because like any team that just has a Jet, they just, the Jet is dashing in to break all the trips. Now, I don't think Jet is useless. I think that there's one of 2 things that are going to happen. Either A, the Jet will not be the leader of the pack. Like the Jet's not going to be able to dash in and have no fear. Because like if there's a trip up, that Jet gets flung backwards. We tried it. That Jet gets flown backwards, and So there's two things that happens. Either there's going to be more like walk explosions where people are walking up and killing the trips before they dash in, or Sova's shocks will be used as a way of executing, where Sova will shock the choke points, kills the trips so that the jet can dash in. I don't think it with this. I don't think that the jet can just dash in for free anymore, which I think is good. Moving on, Omen. His flash, the cost was decreased to 300. Omen mains everywhere, just so happy, just rejoicing. They're able to get a pistol, an upgraded pistol, and like a ghost and a flash on pistol. They're oh my god, they're so happy. So that's a pretty good buff, at least for pistol rounds. Omens can get pistol and flash. However, you really can't do that because his smokes, you only get one around every time. You only have one around. Omen now must buy his second smoke for 100, and the cooldown time increased to 40. So this is like, the interval thing we were talking about, many months ago. The intervals are kind of getting increased around every 35 seconds. Now they're going to 40, right? Because I think Sova's arrow was increased from 35 to 40 as well. So I'm sorry, Omen mains. I'm sure you thought you were sick and like, oh man, only $300 for flash is great. But then it's like, well, nope, you got to buy a second smoke now. So it still costs 400 for his utility. And then obviously the TPs got increased too. So it's even more. His TPs were increased from 100 to 150. So his flash was decreased in price. It's 300 credits now. He has to buy a smoke for a second smoke for $100. So right there is 400. And then his flash or his teleports were increased from 100 to 150. So 100 and 300 is 400. And then another 300 is 700. So to get full kit for Omen, you're looking at $700 per round, which is more expensive than it was before overall. So yeah. Boombot cost increased from 200 to 400. That is big. That is a big nerf. So yeah, they nerfed Raze once already from 6 points to 7 points for ult. Now they nerfed her again from 7 points to 8 points. So now Raze ult is 8 points, which to me is kind of a big nerf. You can't even, realistically, you're not going to have Raze ult first gun round, maybe not even second gun round. So yeah, we'll see. Slow Orb, the cost increased from 100 to 200. Her wall, cost increased from 300 to 400. Resurrection, increased from 7 to 8. This is kind of a big nerf for Sage mains again. The wall is now 400. Again, to get full utility for Sage, it's $800, right? $400 for her wall. She can get 2 slows, which are 200 each, which would be 400. So Sage's utility is one of the most expensive in the game, having to spend $800 a round to get it. Also, her ultimate went from 7 to 8. That's kind of a big nerf. I mean, Sage doesn't get many kills normally. I mean, a lot of like pro teams use Sage aggressively. Like Sage is essentially a duelist. But I feel like this would have been a big nerf, but add in this stuff too. It's like, sheesh. Sova, his shock darts, the price was increased from 100 to 150. A little bit of a nerf, to get double shock, it's 300 now instead of 200, but we're Sag. I mean, any Sova nerf, we're always going to be Sag about that. His E, cooldown time increased from 35 to 40. Again, this is just in line with Omen's smokes. So early on in Valorant, there was that phenomena of interval taking, where around the different 35-second intervals, every team would get their Sova dart back up and Omen smoke. So that would be like the intervals of execution. Now they just increase that from 35 to 40, especially if Omen is going to be the main smoker and Sova is still going to be the main initiator, whatever his role is called. I don't know. They're just nerfing that a little bit. His owl drone was increased from 300 to 400 as well. So in order to get full utility as Sova, you're looking at $700 instead of before it being $500, which is quite costly as a Sova main who, a lot of Sova mains like to buy the Odin. It's going to be quite costly to be able to get drone, double shock, and an Odin and head armor every round. So overall, pretty big nerfs to Sova. And of course, his ult went from 7 to 8 points. Weapon updates. All weapons. Bullet tagging changed from a 75% slow to a 72.5% slow, which means you're slowed less when you get shot. Tagging is the slowing effect you feel when hit by bullets. Weapon dead zone changed from 30 to 27.5. Dead zone in Valorant refers to the movement speed a player becomes inaccurate. So, to put it in children's terms, you are slowed less when you get shot. So if you're full running, you get slowed less when you get shot, so you don't get slowed as much. But also, the dead zone is now 27.5%, which means at 27.5% of your move speed, you lose you are inaccurate. So running and shooting was nerfed again. Walking and shooting was nerfed again. So now, hopefully, the run and gun of this game gets changed to a point where people aren't comfortable running around or walking around and spraying. So I think this is overall good. Like I said, I think this whole patch, I think Riot is kind of honing in on trying to make it so that the game is more gunplay heavy and not so ability heavy. So I think this is good. Competitive updates. Here's some of what you can expect from our changes. Reduce the possibility of feeling hard stuck on older accounts. If your skill improves, your rank should properly reflect that regardless of account age. So they're basically admitting that if you had an older account, maybe there was something wrong with your elo. Maybe this what this means is they're admitting that if you have an older account and you feel like you're not able to rank up, they're admitting that maybe there was actually something wrong. Interesting. I have an older account. Wonder what that happens. Wonder what that means for me. Matchmaking accuracy will improve across all ranks, which should lead to a smoother ranked climb and reduce how hard you may swing up and down in rank. So these are the people who these are the people that say like, oh man, I got to Immortal 1. Time to get to Radiant. And then they go down to like Gold. And they're like, man, I'm down bad. I've lost like 20 games in a row. So now at least your rank shouldn't have huge upswings and huge downswings. So it's more accurate over time. So I think that's probably good. Makes people have to work harder to rank up, but also have to, you don't rank down right away either. So probably a good thing overall, especially for the casuals who get sad when they rank up and then they rank down. So anyway, winning games is still the most important factor. Individual performance will also be accounted for to improve matchmaking only at Immortal Plus. This should result in better matches at the highest levels. I am a fan of this. I'm a fan of this. If there's an Immortal or Radiant that's literally getting like 5 kills a game, they probably don't deserve to be in that rank. And if they're getting boosted, they definitely don't deserve to be in that rank. Close games will have a smaller effect on rank rating gains and losses, which I think this is how it always was before. So this is fine. Adjusted our rank rating curve, so climbing or falling should feel less volatile. Okay, so this is like, or we already kind of talked about this. This and this are kind of the same thing. So that's good. Updated rank distribution. Placements were raised to Diamond 1. This should help reduce the grind for our players at the top. Korean video on all the updates that we just read for the last hour and a half. Here we go.
이미 다 생각해놨으니까 뭘 생각했냐고? 세 번째 에피소드가 시작됐잖아. 나 킬조이가 아니면 아무도 정리 못할걸? 이번 패치에는
In this patch, all agents have somewhat of a change. I've selected a few to show you guys. First, Astra's suck, gradual, and Astra all gotta change. If Astra placed her stars during the buy phase, she has to wait for her stars to charge up after the barriers drop. So you'll see they're inactive for like 2 seconds almost. When Astra's on attack and the spike is planted, she can now see the spike's location in Astra. So this makes it so that it's a lot easier to suck them off the bomb than it was. Instead of like your teammate or you having to ping where it was planted, now you just see it on the minimap. But they don't see it. They can't see if it's being diffused or not. So I think that's good. That's kind of like a buff to her, but she needs some kind of thing. Next up is Breach. All of his skills have changed.
이 스킬 균열은
Fault lines
최대
charge time
충전 시간이
decrease. Yeah, so you can
감소했고,
see it charges up his E
스킬
way
사용 범위의
faster.
폭이
And it's
증가해.
wider too. Any wides.
한 번만 폭발하던 여지는
Aftershock
이제
single sword
총
enough
세
speeds 3
번에
times.
걸쳐서
Boom, boom.
팡팡팡.
Pump.
궁극기
Stop reading? Alright, my bad.
지진만큼도 더 넓은 범위를 커버할 거야.
Oh, that was pushing with.
비교하면 잘 보라고.
So this is the alt. So it used to be this cone kind of shape, this triangle. Now it's a big old that's a big rectangle.
많은 플레이어가 즐겨 쓰는 제트는 전반적으로 너프.
Jet has been overall nerfed. Tears for our jet mains. No tears for the jet mains. Give him cringe for the jet mains.
특히 순풍으로 사이퍼의 함정을 더 이상 못 피한다고 하니까 사이퍼가 기분
So you see,
좋겠는데?
if Jet dashes into Cypher Trip, it sucks her right back. Unlucky.
스카이는 정찰자와 인도하는 빛이 바뀌었네. 정찰자는 시야 범위가 더욱 넓어졌고.
Ah, so this is the difference in dog. So now you actually, I feel like that's a lot. Stop reading, my bad.
인도하는 빛을 사용할 때 매를 터뜨리는 스카이의 손동작은
Ah, so this is saying that when you throw the flash, it doesn't take away your gun when you pop it. You're able to just shoot and pop at the same time. I think that's good.
이제 볼 수가 없을 거야.
See? Like this was how it was before, this is how it was now. Like you literally just keep your gun out so you can keep shooting while you hit it. That's good.
자, 다들 기다리던 신규 요원
KO.
KO도
I already
소개를
saw
해줄게.
KO. We'll just watch it.
KO의 기본 스킬은 제로 포인트야. 칼을 던져서 스킬 범위 안에 있는 적들을 제압하는 스킬이지. 제압당한 적은 총을 쏠 수는 있지만 스킬은 사용할 수 없어. Q 스킬은 바로 삥! 플래시 드라이브. 일정
Keep
시간
reading?
후에 터지는
Okay.
섬광탄이고
Well, we don't need to read about KO. We've already seen KO. Keep reading?
우클릭으론 가까이 던질 수가 있어.
Well, once after KO, we'll read
C
more.
스킬은 파편탄. 내 나노 소음과 비슷하다고
C.
생각하면 돼. 하지만 KO의 파편탄은 지면에 닿는 즉시 발동하고 총 4번에 걸쳐서 데미지가 들어와.
We already know all this stuff.
궁극기 무력화 명령은 KO를 더욱 강력하게 만들어. 궁을 사용하면
We'll read after
KO가
this
매우
one. We'll read
넓은
after
범위까지
KO
파동을
because we
방출하고
already played KO on
파동에
stream.
맞은 적은 제압에 걸리게 돼. 그리고 궁극기를 사용하던 KO가 죽는다? 한 번에 죽는 일은 없어. 궁을 쓰다가 죽으면 같은 편이 KO를 살릴 수가 있거든.
Just read it for now.
근데 KO
Hey KO, you're a robot, right? Can I dismantle you and study you? Okay, Killjoy, keep it in your pants, bro. What's wrong with you?
시스템도 꽤 많은
We have system
변화가
updates
있어.
as well.
이제
In comp, your
경쟁전에서
individual
본인의 실력이
performance will be
좀더
important.
중요해지지. 승리했을 때도 라운드 차이가
Also, when you win with a
많이
big difference in
더 높은
rounds,
점수를
you may
얻을 수
just get a
있게 돼.
bit more rank points.
게임 내 킬로그도
Look, we also have our
계산되었어.
kill feed update. Wow!
네가 킬을 하거나
If you get a
킬에
kill or
관여했으면
assist in a kill,
킬로그에
the kill
노란색
feed will
테두리가
highlight
뜰
your
거야.
portrait.
좀 더 알기
A lot
쉽겠지?
easier to see, right?
다음은
Next is
계정
account
레벨이야.
level.
네가 발로란트에
It will
투자한
show
시간만큼
you
계정
and your
레벨로
friends how much you've invested into one account.
보상받을 수 있어. 계정 레벨은
Account level can be
게임 내
checked on your player
플레이어가
card. Oh my god, it goes up to level 500? Wow.
돼서 확인할 수 있고 레벨에 따라
And depending on your level, your
테두리가
borders will change
다들
too.
노력하라고.
So get leveling!
사용자
Let's take a
설정
quick peek at
토너먼트
tournament
모드도
mode.
잠깐만
This is just the
볼까?
match medic.
라운드 롤백 기능이
We got a round rollback
생겼는데
feature.
원하는 라운드를
This will allow you to set the game back to the
선택하고
start of a
롤백
previous
달성을
round.
누르면 다시 돌아갈 수
And
있지.
replay the game starting from there.
아,
Phew,
오늘 할 말이
there's
좀
actually so much
많은데
more.
시간이
But
없어서
sadly,
이만
I've gotta
가볼게.
go.
더 많은
Remember, there are a
기능들을
lot more
경고할
agent
소식.
updates.
그리고
Also, for
모든
weapons,
준비된
moving
이동
accuracy got some
사격
changes as
정확도가
well.
달라진 것도 이번 패치 중 하나니까 홈페이지에서
All of these are on the
자세한
Valorant
내용은
website, so make sure to check it out.
아, 맞다.
Oh, almost forgot.
그리고 이번 주부터
Valorant's Year 1 event pass and
이벤트
squad boost is
패스,
coming this
스쿼드
patch.
부스트 등도
Wow.
시작되니까
Get your goodie
다들
bags and additional
볼
XP
빨길
with your
바랄게.
friends.
그럼 진짜 간다.
Okay, I really have to go now.
좋아요도 눌러주고.